The first thing I noticed wasn't her perfume, it was the way she breathed when she was tired. Slow, steady, like someone counting under her breath to stay calm. We were the last two in the office that night. The whole floor was quiet except for the hum of the vending machine and the soft click of her heels on the marble. She was finishing a call when I walked by the elevators, trying not to stare. Ms. Carver. Marketing Director. My boss. 46. The kind of woman who didn't need to raise her voice to make people listen. She ended her call, sighed, and pressed the button beside me. "You're still here?" she asked. I shrugged. "Trying to fix the campaign file you said was missing." A small smile flickered. "That file's been missing for 3 days. I'm an optimist," I said. Her laugh, low, unforced, caught me off guard. The elevator arrived with a soft ding. We stepped in. The doors slid shut. Then nothing moved. The hum stopped. The floor lights froze. We both looked at the buttons, waiting for the numbers to change. They didn't. "Of course," she muttered, tapping her phone. No signal. I checked mine, same. I leaned back against the mirrored wall. "Guess we're trapped." She exhaled through her nose, a little laugh wrapped in frustration. "Just perfect." Minutes passed. Maybe 10. She slipped off her blazer, folded it neatly over her arm, and sat on the floor. I hesitated, then joined her, keeping a respectful distance that felt like a lie. "You don't look that worried," she said. "I've had worse Mondays." "You think this is a Monday?" "I'm guessing. You just seem like you'd hate Mondays." She looked at me for a moment, eyes searching my face, maybe deciding whether to laugh again. She didn't. Instead, she asked softly, "How old are you, really?" 26. She nodded. "You talk like you're older." I almost said something stupid, something like "You make me feel older too." But I didn't. We talked. About nothing. About everything. About how she started in advertising when campaigns were printed on glossy paper, not screens. How I came from a small town that didn't even have a billboard. The air grew warmer, thinner. I could smell her shampoo, faint and clean. Every time our shoulders almost touched, something in me tensed. At one point, she stretched out her legs and closed her eyes. "You ever feel like you're holding your breath all the time?" she asked quietly. "Yeah," I said. "Right now." Her eyes opened, slowly, deliberately, and met mine. That silence felt dangerous. I looked away first, pretending to check my watch though it had stopped at 8:14. My throat felt tight. We drifted into smaller talk again, how long before maintenance came, who'd miss us first, whether she'd ever actually read the employee handbook. It all sounded normal, but it wasn't. Every word had weight. Every pause filled the space between us with something neither of us was ready to name. An hour must have passed. She got colder, rubbing her arms. I offered my jacket. She hesitated, then accepted. Her fingers brushed mine as she took it, light and unintentional, but my pulse jumped anyway. "You're warm," she said without thinking. Then caught herself. "I mean, the jacket." I smiled. "Sure." The elevator lights flickered. Once. Twice. She straightened up, her voice softer now. "When this thing starts again, yeah." She didn't finish. Just looked at me, steady, unblinking. Then the lights went out completely. And in the darkness, I heard her whisper my name. When the lights went out, I forgot how to breathe. For a second, the world felt smaller than it should. Just her voice in the dark, my name, quiet, uncertain. Are you okay? I asked, though I could barely get the words out. I'm fine, she said. Her tone didn't match the word. I fumbled for my phone, using the dim glow of the screen as a flashlight. It cut across her face, soft shadows, eyes reflecting that restless calm she wore like armor. I hate small spaces, she admitted. But I hate silence more. So I kept talking. About anything. The time I got locked in a storage room as a kid. How I counted the cracks in the wall to stay sane. She laughed, not because it was funny, but because it distracted her. You always try to make people feel better, don't you? She asked. I shrugged. I try to make you feel better. She blinked at that, like she wasn't sure what to do with it. An hour in, the quiet between us felt different. Not empty, heavy. She leaned back against the wall, head tilted, watching me with the kind of curiosity that made my chest tighten. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. Why did you take this job? The honest answer wasn't the one I gave. Needed a paycheck. She smiled faintly. Everyone says that. The truth was Messier. I took it because I saw her name on the company site before I applied. I'd met her once, briefly, when she spoke at my university's career event 2 years ago. She'd said, confidence isn't noise. It's focus. I'd never forgotten that line. But I didn't tell her any of that. She started talking then, slower than before, like the dark loosened something in her. I used to be married, she said, eyes still on the elevator doors. 12 years. He left when he realized I cared more about deadlines than dinners. I didn't interrupt. He was right, she added after a pause. I didn't know how to stop. There was a soft edge to her voice, not self-pity, more like she was tired of being her own judge. You ever think about trying again? I asked quietly. She looked at me, that half-smile gone. At my age, it's not that simple. I almost said, it could be. But I didn't. The air felt warmer again, like the space had its own heartbeat. She shifted closer, her shoulder brushing mine, this time not by accident. We both froze. Neither of us pulled away. Her voice dropped low. This is the part where someone should probably say this is a bad idea. I swallowed. You want me to say it? She hesitated, then whispered, no, her hand rested near mine, so close I could feel the tremor in her fingers. We sat in silence, the kind that wasn't awkward anymore. It was something else, something we both knew we couldn't name yet. The elevator creaked faintly above us. The lights flickered again. She looked over, lips parted as if to speak, and then the power hummed back on, flooding the space with light. We blinked at each other, caught between relief and something more dangerous. She exhaled softly. Let's pretend we didn't say anything. But her eyes said the opposite. And mine answered back, the next morning, the world kept turning, like nothing had happened. Emails. Deadlines. Meetings. But every time I saw her name in my inbox, my pulse tripped. Ms. Carver has assigned you a revision. Simple words, sharp effect. When I walked past her office, she didn't look up. Just that still focus she wore like a mask. I almost believed it too. Almost. 2 days later, she called me in to review a campaign draft. The blinds were half closed, the air faintly citrus from her hand lotion. She sat across from me, calm, professional. This headline, she said, tapping the page. Too emotional. Pull it back. I nodded, but my voice betrayed me. Right. Her gaze flicked up, catching the crack in my composure. The silence stretched, longer than it should have. Are we good? I asked finally. She hesitated. We're colleagues. That's not what I asked. Something changed in her eyes, not softness, not anger, something between. Don't make this harder than it already is. I wanted to ask for who. But the words caught in my throat. That evening, I found myself outside her office again, pretending to drop off a folder I didn't need to. Through the glass, she was on the phone. I could hear only fragments. Yes, I know, no, I haven't decided, please, stop asking. Then a pause. I told you, Michael, I don't owe you that anymore. She hung up and sat back, pressing her hands over her face. For a moment, she didn't see me. When she finally did, her expression flickered, surprise, then something heavier. How much did you hear? Enough to know you're human. She tried to smile but didn't make it all the way. My ex-husband. He's been calling again. The room went quiet. I stepped closer, too close. She didn't move. You don't have to explain, I said. Her voice dropped. I know. But you want me to. Her honesty hit harder than I expected. Later that week, during a late client presentation, the elevator doors opened, and her ex walked in. I recognized the voice instantly. He was tall, confident, a decade past his prime but holding on to it tight. He nodded at her, ignoring me completely. You look good, he said. So do you, she replied, flat. I felt invisible, but she wasn't. Her body went rigid, her hands clasped too tight. When the meeting ended, I lingered by the door. She stayed behind, staring out the window. Old ghosts? I asked softly. She nodded. Some don't stay buried. I took a step closer, lowering my voice. You don't have to face them alone. She looked up, and there it was again, that line we kept crossing without meaning to. Don't, she whispered. Don't what? Be kind to me right now. I stopped breathing. Then she reached out, just for a second, her fingers brushing my wrist. Light. Careful. Dangerous. It felt like both a warning and a promise. Before I could say a word, her assistant opened the door. Miss Carver. Your husband's here to see you. The word husband froze everything between us. Her hand fell away. Her eyes didn't. And I knew, this wasn't over. The word husband hung in the air like smoke. He was in her office for less than 10 minutes, but it felt longer. I stayed at my desk, pretending to focus, hearing muffled voices through glass. Not angry, worse, polite. The kind of tone people use when they've already said everything that mattered years ago. When the door finally opened, she walked him to the elevator. He turned once before leaving, said something low that made her jaw tighten. She waited until the doors shut, then just stood there, still, shoulders drawn, like holding herself together took effort. And I couldn't stay seated anymore. I found her by the window, arms crossed, staring down at the city. You okay? I asked. She didn't answer. You don't have to, he wants to try again, she said quietly. After 2 years. I waited. Then she added, he thinks I'm lonely. Something twisted in my chest. Are you? She finally turned to look at me. Would it matter if I said yes? I stepped closer, heart pounding too loud. It would to me. That was the moment everything changed, because she didn't move away. The silence that followed was unbearable. You shouldn't say things like that, she murmured. Why? Because I work for you. Because you don't know what you're getting into. I know exactly what I'm getting into. Her laugh came out uneven, almost fragile. You think this is some kind of movie, don't you? Young man saves the broken woman who's too old to stop. My voice came out sharper than I meant. She froze, startled. Don't talk about yourself like that, I said. You're not broken. Her eyes softened, then hardened again. You don't understand. I built walls for a reason. I've seen the cracks. That hit her. She looked away, blinking fast, biting the inside of her cheek, the first real sign she might fall apart. She moved to her desk, pretending to tidy papers that didn't need tidying. You should go home. Not until you tell me what you want. Her hands trembled, just barely. You think I haven't asked myself that? Then tell me the answer. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. Instead, she whispered, you make it hard to breathe. My pulse skipped. That's not an answer. She turned, closing the space between us in 2 slow steps. It's the only one I can give. For a second, one suspended heartbeat, we stood there, too close. The city lights reflected off the glass, painting her face in gold. I could feel the warmth of her breath, the hesitation in it. Her hand rose slightly, halfway to my face, then stopped. We can't, she said. But she didn't move back. The space between us pulsed with every word we hadn't said. I whispered, then tell me to leave. She looked at me for a long time. Too long. And just when I thought she'd speak, the office phone rang, sharp and jarring. She stepped away, breaking whatever fragile thing had been forming. Go, she said softly, not looking at me. But her voice shook. And that told me everything. The next morning, she wasn't at her desk. Her office light was off, her nameplate missing from the door. Just like that, gone. I stood there, holding my coffee, trying to process it. Her assistant caught my look. She took a leave of absence, she said. Effective immediately. Why? She didn't say. That was a lie. Or maybe just what people say when the truth is too heavy to carry. For 3 days, I couldn't focus. Every email I sent felt like a message to an empty room. I kept checking her number, rereading our last thread, polite, professional, emotion stripped out like it never existed. Then on Friday night, she called. Her name on the screen froze me. I answered before the first ring ended. Ms. Carver. Don't sound so formal, she said quietly. It's late. Her voice was steady, but softer, like distance had sanded down her edges. Why'd you leave? I asked. Because I had to, she said. For both of us. Did someone find out? A pause. Too long. Then she exhaled. Michael came by the office the next morning. He said he saw, the way you looked at me. My heart sank. He wasn't wrong, I said. No, she said, almost a whisper. He wasn't. I heard city noise on her end, cars, wind, the faint cry of a train horn. Are you okay? I asked. I don't know, she said. He offered to fix things. Said he'd tell HR if I didn't quit. My jaw clenched. He blackmailed you. Don't make it sound like a movie, she said. He's angry. And he's not entirely wrong. I crossed a line. I pressed my hand to my forehead, pacing my apartment. We didn't, it doesn't matter what we didn't do, she cut in. You think they care about almost? Silence. The truth burned between us, we'd been found out before we even fell. Then her voice changed, quieter, breaking slightly. He said he'd ruin your career too. Mine. Yes. He thinks you're the reason I never went back to him. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Guess he's right about that, too. She didn't respond. Just the faint sound of her breathing, uneven now. Where are you? I asked. Downtown. Hotel near the river. Tell me which one. I can't. You think I'm just going to let you disappear? You don't get to save me, she said. You're too young to carry someone else's wreckage. My chest tightened. Then don't be wreckage. She went quiet. When she spoke again, her tone was barely audible. I didn't lie about what I felt. Something in me cracked. Then why are you running? She whispered, because if I see you again, I won't stop myself next time. The line went dead. I stood there, phone still to my ear, city lights flickering outside my window, feeling like the ground had shifted beneath me. She'd left to protect us. Or maybe to protect herself from what we both already knew was coming. And for the first time, I didn't know which hurt more, that I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her standing in that elevator, calm, brave, pretending the world didn't shake beneath her feet. And the sound of her voice saying I won't stop myself next time wouldn't leave me alone. By morning, I'd made up my mind. I found the hotel. She was in the lobby when I walked in, same blazer, hair pulled back, eyes ringed with exhaustion. When she saw me, her expression went from shock to something softer, almost defeat. You shouldn't be here, she said. Then why aren't you walking away? Her lips pressed together, but she didn't move. I took a step closer, enough to see the tremor in her hands. Michael's gone, she said. He left town last night. Probably told HR everything. Then I guess we're both out of jobs, I said. She almost smiled, almost. You don't get it. This doesn't end clean. It never does. I don't need clean, I said. I just need real. She shook her head. You think this is real? It's a moment. An accident that stretched too long. Then why are you still talking to me? That stopped her. Her breath caught, shoulders lowering, as if she was finally out of excuses. You make it sound easy, she said. But I'm not the woman you think I am. I've made promises. I've broken them. I've hurt people who didn't deserve it. I stepped closer, my voice steady now. Then maybe it's time to forgive yourself. Her eyes glistened, and for a second I thought she might. But then she looked away, toward the hotel doors, the morning light spilling through them. You'll hate me one day, she whispered. Maybe, I said. But not today. She laughed under her breath, tired, shaky, real. You're too young to understand that some things don't survive daylight. I reached for her hand. She didn't pull back this time. Her fingers curled around mine, warm, hesitant. You keep saying I don't understand, I said. Then show me what I'm missing. Her eyes met mine, no mask this time, no walls. Just fear, longing, and the kind of truth people spend their whole lives trying not to say. This isn't supposed to happen, she said. Neither was that elevator. She blinked, a slow tear slipping down her cheek before she could stop it. And then, finally, she stopped fighting. She leaned in, forehead against mine, not a kiss, not yet. Just closeness, fragile and unguarded. I don't know what happens after this, she whispered. Then we start there, I said. Outside, sirens faded, the city waking up around us. She pulled back, searching my face like she was memorizing it, the way you look at something you're not sure you'll get to keep. Then she smiled, small but certain. You're impossible. Yeah, I said. But so are you. And for the first time, it didn't feel like an ending. It just felt honest. 2 months later, I almost didn't recognize her. The company had officially closed the case, mutual resignation due to personal conflict. Clean words for a messy truth. I left a week after she did. For a while, I thought that was the end of it. But life doesn't tie up stories that neatly. I ran into her on a Tuesday afternoon, in a small cafe tucked behind the train station. She was sitting by the window with a book and a black coffee, hair loose this time, wearing the kind of calm that took years to earn. When she looked up and saw me, she didn't flinch. "Of all the places," she said. "Guess I was due for good luck," I replied. She smiled, faint, careful. "You still talk too much. You still pretend you don't like it." That made her laugh. Quiet, but real. We talked. Not about the past, not directly. It was there, of course, between every word. The elevator. The night she left. The phone call that ended with silence. But we didn't need to say it. Some things are better held gently than picked apart. She told me she was consulting now. Freelance. Working fewer hours, sleeping more. Learning how to exist without a crisis to fix. I told her I'd moved cities, started over. New company. New title. Still checking every elevator twice before stepping in. We both laughed at that, though the sound came out quieter than it should have. After a while, she leaned back in her chair. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if, all the time," I said, before she could finish. She nodded, like she expected that. And I think we needed to stop exactly where we did. Her eyes softened. "You're smarter than you were back then. I had a good teacher." The pause that followed wasn't awkward anymore. Just, full. As she gathered her things to leave, she hesitated beside my table. "You were the first person in a long time who saw me," she said. "Not the job. Not the mistakes. Just, me." I didn't know what to say. So I stood, reached for her hand, the same one I'd wanted to hold months ago but couldn't. She didn't pull away this time. "Maybe that's enough," I said. She smiled, faint but sure. "Maybe it is." And just like that, she walked out, not dramatically, not like a movie scene. Just quietly, like someone stepping into a life that finally fit. I stayed there for a long time, watching her disappear into the crowd. It didn't hurt the way I thought it would. It just felt right. Some people change your life in 2 hours. Some keep changing it long after they're gone. Did you enjoy the story? Would you want more stories about love that feels real, the kind that hurts, heals, and lingers? Tell me what kind of story you'd like to hear next.